Yeah, Shashi, you can also start recording. Yeah, Shashi, can you hear me? Okay. Hello, Manoj, you can hear me, right? Manoj and Damodar.
हाँ संदेश.
Yeah. Okay. 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 Fine. We can start. So we have completed the Power Center Designer features. So today we will see the features in our workflow manager. So what all things we need to understand when we do some changes in our workflow manager. Okay. So we have already seen how to create a workflow here, right? So we have seen how to create a workflow and how to create a session and how to associate a mapping with the session. So apart from this, we can do lot many things in workflow manager also. We'll say, just go through it. So first of all, when I create a workflow, so if I go to the edit section of my workflow, um, you can see that for every workflow there will be an integration service attached here. Okay, this we won't do it. It will be configured actually by the uh, this Informatica support team. They might have already assigned an integration service to your project folder. So whatever workflows you create within this folder, by default the integration service will be attached to it. And this integration service will help you to extract the data from the source, load it to the target and all. Okay, so this will come by default as per the configuration they have done for each of your projects. Coming to the properties section, so in the properties section we have seen the attribute parameter file name, where we provide the file name parameter file location here, right? This we have already seen. So you can provide, if you are using any mapping variables or parameters and you want to pass data to those mapping variables or parameters, and also we have workflow variables. So if you want data to them, so those values we can store it in our parameter file, and that parameter file name you can declare the path here in this attribute. Other things is workflow log file name. So as we have seen, when we run the workflow, for example, if I run this, so one thing to notice here when I run it, so within your project, within your repository, the integration service, we can see it. So your workflow is assigned to this integration service, right? So within that integration service, you will see the projects which and your workflows running. Okay, so whatever integration service is assigned, within that integration service only your workflows will be running in your monitor section. Okay, so now I ran this workflow. So whenever we run the workflow, it will generate me the 1 second, I think Bhushan is joining. Okay, yeah, Bhushan, I have given you the recording access also. We have just started. Okay, so when we run the workflow, we see it in our monitor. So we get two types of logs from our monitor. One is the session log. So if you have 10 sessions in your workflow, for each session it will create a log, and also it will create you the workflow log. So if you want to check the log from the monitor, you can right click on your workflow and say get workflow log. It will show you the log what it has created. If you want, you can save it to your local system. It will be stored again as a text file. You can use it and check the log later also. Apart from that, so where this log will be saved in, So if you go to your workflow edit section properties, so this is my workflow log name. So the log, so what name you want to give to your workflow log, that you can specify here. It will be always, usually it will be the name of your workflow dot log. That's what the naming convention we follow, so that it will be easy for you to identify if you give the same workflow name to your log file also, and the directory where you want to store your workflow. So this particular inbuilt variable $pm workflow log directory, it refers to this path. Again, in the Informatica 9.6.1 server infra shared workflow logs. Okay, so your this particular variable PM workflow log directory, this particular variable points to this folder. So usually what happens within this folder, there will be a subfolder created for each of the projects. Like assume like this is your project March 2020 batch. So there will be a subfolder created. So all your workflow logs, you ensure that it will go and set in this particular path. So here you can modify the log directory. So whenever you create new workflows and all, you need to give the log file directory and all where you want to save it. So usually it will point to this workflow directory. Under that you need to make changes so that it will go to your particular folder only. So that I have specified here. So now if I run it again, so it succeeded. So I can see the log here. So this is the workflow log which it creates. And apart from that, we have a property called save workflow log by. So how you want to save your workflow log? Either by the number of runs or by timestamp. We have two ways of saving our workflow log. One is by runs. When I say runs, for how many runs you want to save your workflow. And when I say timestamp, your workflow log file will have the timestamp also. So I will just show you for the first option, by runs. If I select by runs and if I give the value as 2 year, okay. So when I select my by timestamp, so this save workflow log for these runs will be disabled. It will be enabled only when I use by runs. If I select my by runs and assume like I give the log runs as 2, okay, I'll say apply, I'll say okay. Let me delete this. Assume this is a fresh workflow and I'm running for the first time. So I have given the log runs as 5. Let me save my changes and let me run my workflow. So it succeeded for the first time. So it log file name, it says the workflow name dot log dot zero dot bin. Okay, it has given the value as 0. Next time when I run the workflow, it will generate a new log file and its log file will be having the value 1. Okay, then again if I run it, it will create the third log file with value 2. Since I have given the save log workflow log for these runs, 2 means for it will start from 0. So 0 1 2 for first 0 time, first time and second time, it will save the log file for your workflows. Okay, now if I run it again, so it completed. So see, now it replaced the first, the last one, I mean the old one, the oldest workflow has been replaced. Since I have given the count as 2, at any point of time in this folder you will have the latest 3 runs workflow logs only. So it always depends like how your support team wants it, whether you want to store the logs for a week or a 15 days, 2 weeks or a month, like that. So we normally store it for 5 working days. Okay, so that in case if there are any issues reported, I can go back and check my logs. So in that case, I'll give it as, if your workflow is running for 6 days in a week, I'll give the number here as 5, so that the latest 6 workflow logs will be saved. Otherwise, if you want to save it with timestamp, so you don't want to stay only for first latest 3 runs or 5 runs, you want as many times the workflow runs you want to generate the new logs, then you can use the by timestamp option. If I use by timestamp option, save it and run now. So your workflow log will be created with the timestamp, so that every time you run, so it will create a new one, so it won't replace the existing ones. So it always depends on your requirement how you want to do it. So normally we go by runs and we store it for last 1 week of logs. If you are going by timestamp, so you need to ensure that there should be some other process or a job like a Unix script which will run once in a month. Okay, which so that it can come here and clear all the old logs, so that there won't be any memory issue. If we are every day we are storing the logs and we are not deleting it, it will cause space issues. So you need to ensure there should be some other process which runs once in a week or once in a month, first of every month or last of every month, and remove the oldest 1 month files or something. So there should be separate process. Otherwise, if you are storing by runs, it will keep on replacing, so no issues. Okay, this is about the workflow logs, what we can do it. Okay, that you can set it in your workflows property section. Same thing you can do it for your sessions also. For sessions also we can store the logs. If you go to the session properties, so we have the session log file name, the name what you want to give. By convention we use the same session name for our log file, and the session log file directory. So this particular path, session log directory, it points to this path here, infra shared session logs. Okay, within this path you can create your there will be a project folder, your project folder, and all your session logs will be can be stored here. So if that is the case, you can give that particular path here. Okay, and again here also you can go by runs or a timestamp, that I think it will be in the config. Yeah, in the config object, if you come here, save session log by session runs or session timestamp. So again the same concept. If you want, if you select the session timestamp, log files will be saved with the timestamp. If you select the session runs, you can give the runs for how many runs you want to store the log file. Okay, this is about the logs what you create. So you can create the logs for only for your workflows and sessions. Within the sessions only mapping logs will come. Okay, there won't be any separate logs for mapping. Within the sessions only it will come. And if you want to get the detailed logs and all, so as I told, in every transformations we have a tracing level. You can select verbose initialization or verbose data. Even in the session level we have this tracing level option, so which you can select to get more detailed logs here. It will be somewhere in the workflow. 1 second. Okay. Somewhere in the mapping also the tracing level will be there. Where is it? Yes, I mean in the session. Temporary general. Yeah, this one. Override tracing. So here you can select normal, verbose initialization or verbose data. Okay, if you want to get more detailed logs, you can select verbose initialization, verbose data, but you need to ensure before moving this workflow to your higher environment, it should be normal or none. Otherwise, it will logs here. Then coming forward, the next tab in your workflow is the scheduler. So there are two ways of calling this workflow. Okay. So till now, how we were running our workflow, we were just coming here, right clicking and saying start workflow, right? This is the manual way of running the workflow. But in real time, what happens? We have to schedule some time so that when the time reaches, your should start automatically. For example, like your workflow should run every day at morning 7 o'clock. So that time we have to schedule somewhere. So two ways we can do it. Either we can use some third-party tools, the scheduler tools, from where we can call our workflows like Control M and all. Apart from that, Informatica has its own scheduler. If you go to Workflows Edit, Scheduler part, this is where you can schedule your workflows. So some projects they use this inbuilt scheduler only, and some of them go with the external tools, Control M and all. Okay, Informatica scheduler. So you can come to your scheduler tab here. You can open this, go to schedule. So by default, it will be on run on demand. If this option is selected, then only when I right click and say start workflow, it runs, because it runs only on demand. So I'm forcefully asking it to run. So it will run only when someone is trying to run it. So run on demand will be selected if you want to run it manually. But if you want to run it automatically, so you can disable that option. Then the other options will come up here. So schedule options, run once. So if you want to run only once, one time, so there might be some kind of what to say, workflows you might have created for some bug fixing and all, and you want to run it only once on after moving it to production on that day, on some particular day you want to run it only once. And since you don't have right access to your production, either you have to ask the support team to run it manually, or you can schedule it. So at such cases you can say run once, and you can give the start date and the start time. So at that time it will start. So run every day, hours and minutes. If you want to run every day and all, you can use this. So customize repeat, this is where we normally use it. Customize repeat, if you go to edit section here, see, here you can select the days on which day you want to run, or week. So if you are running, your workflow is running weekly, every day in a week, you can select those weeks: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And you can say that time when it has to run, like 4 o'clock in the morning and what minutes. Okay, and save okay. So it will make sure that on these days it will run at 4:30. Okay. Or if you want to run on a month wise, so you can select this month, and here run on day, on which days of the month you want to run, like first, second, third, always depends on your requirement. So you can select it, or run on, like there might be some workflows which you want to run at the end of the month or the first of month. So you can select this, run on the first Monday of the month, or first Sunday of the month, or first and second, or second Monday, Sunday, like that. So always depends on your requirement. You can, or on the last day of the month, last Sunday of the month or something. So depending on your requirement, you can schedule your workflow timings here. So based on that timing, whenever that time matches with the system time, then your workflow will be scheduled. Okay. So this is the scheduler part. It's a very much simple, self-explanatory. You can just go through it. This is where you can schedule in case if you are using the Informatica scheduler to run your workflows automatically. Okay, then variables section is again where you can create your variables, like mapping variables and mapping parameters, right? So if we want to use some values in our mapping parameter and variables, we will create it in the mapping parameter and variables, right? So those values I can use it in the mapping. So you assume like I want to use some values in my workflow level, in my session and all, like I told you, right? Like if I want to get the file name path, instead of hard coding the file name path or the file name, I want to get it from the parameter file. So then I need to declare a workflow variable here. In my workflow, I have to come here variables. I can say like source file directory. Okay, integer. Similarly, I can use like source file name. Similarly, you can do it for um, target file directory. Target file name. So you can use these variables here. You can create these variables. You can pass the values to these variables from your parameter file, and you can use these variables in your workflows, like in your session. See, in this session, instead of giving the hard coding this data, right? The file path, the file directory path. Instead of this, I can give the workflow variable name here, and the value to this variable I will be passing from the parameter file. Okay, and in future if the file directory changes, I need not to touch my workflow. Since I am using a variable, I just need to go to my parameter file and change it to the new file directory. Like that, for source file names, target file names, connection details, whatever we are using in our workflow level from the parameter file, for each of that we have to create a variables here in the workflow variable section. Okay, and we have something called event section. This part I will explain you later when we discuss about some other task and all. Okay, so these are the main tabs we have in our workflow level. Okay, property section where you create the log files and all, scheduler for scheduling your workflows, and variables to create your workflow variables. Now coming to your workflow manager. So see, there are, okay, till now to run the workflow I was using right click start workflow. What it will do, if I say right click and start workflow, it will start from the beginning. So it will start the task which is assigned to the start component. Whichever session or other task is assigned to the start component, that it will start from there when I say start workflow. So assume like this is your workflow now. It is working some. So okay. Mm. Okay, so let it be like this. Okay, this is your workflow. So there are so many sessions here. Assume like it's a complex mapping. So workflow, you have created so many sessions here. So when I say start workflow, what it will do, it will start from this session. Once this session completes, it will go to this, then to this, then to this, like this. Okay. If I want to run only one particular session or one, so this session is nothing but a task here. So we have other tasks also in Informatica. In workflows, we can create so many tasks. So we can see that here in this list. In that, session is also one. Okay. So if I want to run any of the task, any one particular task, not the entire workflow. What I can do is I can just go to that particular task and say right click and say start task. So if I say start task, let me save it. Start task. So it will run only that particular workflow. See, it ran only that particular session. So if you want to run any particular specific session, you can do that also. You can just go to that particular task and right click and say start task. And there is other option like start workflow from task. That means I want to run my workflow from this task. So it will start from this task, and also it will also run the next task following to this task. So that is what start workflow from task. So if I select this, it will start from the yes underscore test, then the next task whatever are there. So these ones, it will run these ones, but it didn't run the previous task. Okay, that is also an option. So when we normally use these things, like say assume like your workflow was running in production, so in middle somewhere out of these tests, so the first two tasks completed. Okay, then at this particular session your workflow failed due to some reason. Okay, so you have fixed it. Now you want to rerun your workflow. Since the first two are already completed, you don't want to rerun. It might cause some duplicate issues or something. So you want to rerun from this particular task. Now then what you can do, start workflow from task you can do, right? Or only this particular task you want to run, then you can say start task. So we have these other features also. So since we will not be having access to the production environment as a development team, so it will be handled by the Informatica support team, the platform support team. So we need to guide them. We have to provide the steps. So whenever there are issues, there are failures, they will contact you directly. They won't be knowing what your workflows does. Okay, what code is in that, so they will not be aware of. So they will be just monitoring. If it fails, they will notify you that your jobs got failed. Your team support team will be notified saying your job got failed, and they will share you the logs max. That's what they can do. If their issues are with respect to platform, then they will help you. But if there are any issues respect to your workflows, coding and all project, then they won't be knowing anything about it. They are just a platform support team, so they will share you the details, and you need to guide them. Since you won't be having access to the production, you need to guide them what they have to do. They will be having right access, so then you can say like, okay, this is a known issue, you just restart from this task. You have to provide the instructions. That's how you can work out. So in such cases we use the start workflow, start workflow from task, or start task and all. Okay, next there are two ways of what running our workflow. How can I show it? Yes. Okay, if I take this link. Okay, so if I consider this, see, there are two ways of running my tasks, my different tasks in my workflows. One is sequence batch running. Okay, one is called as sequence batch, and another one is called as parallel batch. What does that mean? So if I run this particular workflow, what happens is first this workflow will run. Then as soon as this workflow is completed, both of these two workflows will start immediately. As soon as this particular session is completed, these two sessions will start in parallel. That is called as parallel batch running. So sequence batch means one after the other. If I am running one after the other, it is called as sequence batch. If I am running in parallel, like in this case, right? So these two sessions will run in parallel. So this is called parallel batch running. So it always depends again on your requirement, like how the dependency is. So assume like these two sessions are dependent on the data which is loaded by this particular session. You guys can start recording, Bhushan and Shashi. Yeah. So where were we? Yeah. So what I was saying, if these two sessions are dependent on the data, okay, which is loaded by first session. So then I need to ensure that these two sessions should start only after this session is completed. So I can go for the parallel batch running. So it always depends on your requirement, how the dependency is, and you should always try to have the parallel batch as much as possible, because it will reduce the time, right? If there are no dependency, then there is no point of waiting. So you can try to run the task in parallel. So assume, now consider this task, this session. So this session is dependent on the data coming from these two. Then I need to ensure that this session starts only when these two sessions are completed. Okay, the dependency I need to set. So this one is called as parallel batch running. Okay, in simple, if I want to make it more simple, I can show you like this. Okay, so this is parallel batch running. So as soon as my workflow starts, these two sessions will start in parallel. Okay, if I want to make it sequence batch means one after the other it will run. Okay, then let's take one simple example here. Okay, so if I consider this sample, okay, now consider only this particular session. So you have something called as, in this session's general tab, fail parent if this task fails. So most of the time we normally enable this property, and sometimes we forget also. This might cause you some production issues. What this feature actually does is, if I enable this property, what it does is, in case if this particular session fails, it will ensure that your workflow also fails. So what it is saying, fail parent if this task fails. Parent is nothing but my workflow. So assume like I have not enabled this property. I will just change something. What I can change. Okay. I want to make this workflow fail. So better I take something where I have a file. We'll take this. Yeah. Okay, we'll take this session because it is using a file as a source. So if you come here, so I have not enabled this property, fail parent if this task fails. So I'll go to property sections, mapping. In my source, I'll give the wrong path here so that my work invalid path. So now if I session will fail, the specified path cannot be, the system cannot find the specified path. Though my though my session failed, one of my session in the workflow failed, my workflow is still in succeeded status. You can see, right? My workflow is still in my succeeded status. If you don't want this to happen, So you need to make sure your workflow also fails when one of is, and you can enable this property. Okay. So that means one of the functionality in your workflow didn't run, but still you are making your workflow has succeeded. So now if I enable this property and run it, see my one of my tasks failed. So since I told fail parent if task fails, my workflow also failed. So you will be mostly you will be enabling this property in all the tasks, not only in session. There are other tasks also which have this property. Set it. So when you are very sure that though one of my tasks fails, it doesn't affect my workflow, I can still make my workflow as succeeded. If that is your requirement, then you can disable this property. But if you want to ensure your workflow fails when one of your feature fails, then you have to enable this property here. Okay. Then coming next, I told you like sequence what let me again give the correct path here. And that property you can set it in all the tasks. All sessions have that property. Okay. Next, moving forward. So if I take this, see, assume like your workflow flow was something like this. Okay. This was the dependency. So you have created your workflows like this. So in real-time projects, the workflows will be very complex. You might see so many tasks in your workflows. So what happens here when your workflow starts? First, this session will run. Once this session is completed, I'm saying completed. I'm not saying whether successful or failed. It's completed. Then this particular session will run. Once this particular session is completed, then these two sessions will run. Okay. Then maybe I can give like this. There is no restriction, okay, to join the task. It always depends on your requirement, how on the dependency, how it is. Okay. Then once these two particular sessions are completed, S test and S load employee data to target, this session will run, and then this completed, it will run. So see, if I run this workflow now, let me save it. See, first session started, it completed. Next session, as soon as it completed, that both two sessions started. Then once those two sessions completed, the next one started, and then the next one, as per the link I have given here. Right, this started first. As soon as it completed, this started. As soon as the second session completed, both of these sessions started in parallel. When both of them completed, it started here. Now what I'll do, I'll just make one of the session to fail, which was my, yeah, this one. Okay. I'll give the wrong path again. Save it. I'll start my workflow. See, the first session failed. Then my second session started again, and the flow continued. So my first session failed, the flow continued. It didn't stop there. Why? Because I'm just saying the link what I have given here, the links what I have provided between the tasks, it just give the dependency of saying when the sessions that particular task is completed, then start with the next task. It will just wait for the task to complete. Either it is failed or succeeded, it doesn't matter for it. This link says, okay, the link what I have highlighted here, red color one, it just says wait for this second sessions to start until the first session is completed. So it doesn't tell whether it has failed or passed, then only started. So in order to set up that dependency, so assume like this particular second session is dependent on the data which is generated by my first session. If my first session failed, then there is no point of running my second session. So I have to abort my workflow there only, and I need to make my workflow to fail, right? So there is no point in running the next level of my workflows as next level of my workflow, right? The other task as I have done now. So how can I set the dependency? So for that we have something here. If you double click on this links, okay, it will open a window. Here you can say the previous session name you can take. This is my previous session, SCD type 1 static cache. So I double click on the link, and in my session, these are the inbuilt variables we have. I will take the inbuilt variable status. So that is session, that particular session dot status, and I will say equals to succeeded. So if I set this dependency, then this second session will start only when your first session is succeeded. Now I am saying, till now it was just waiting it to complete. Now it will wait for it to succeed. If it fails, it won't start. Since I am setting the dependency as start only when the first session is succeeded. That's dependency. You can set it in your links here, or you can also say like where is it, target success rows is greater than 0. I can also say like target success rows is greater than 0. That means in my previous session it has loaded at least one row to my target. Okay, normally we use this status is equals to succeeded. So now if I run it, I'll save it again and run my workflow. See, my first session failed, then the next sessions didn't start, and my workflow also failed. So why my next session didn't start? Because I set the dependency saying start only when the first session succeeded. Why other sessions didn't start? I have linked them, so they will start only when this particular session completes. Either it fails or succeeds, then only it will, at least it should complete. So it didn't start only, so the other sessions also didn't start. Like this you can control the flow. So normally in your workflows, between every link you will find that status is equals to succeeded. Since I need to ensure to start my next task only when my previous task has completed successfully. So I give this status equals to succeeded in all the links here. So normally you'll see this. Okay. Hope it's clear. Okay, and this is what I told you, sequence batch, and sorry, this is sequence batches running the task one after the other. Parallel batch means running the tasks in parallel. It always again depends on your requirement. So these are the very common things which you should be knowing when you're working as a developer and all. Coming to next thing is, we'll see some other task here. Okay. So till now we have seen the task, that is the session task now. So apart from session, we have other tasks also. So which we can use in our workflow. So how to create those tasks in my workflow? I can go to tasks, I can say create, and I can select the task type to create. So these are the different tasks we have in Informatica Workflow Manager: session, command, decision, event wait, event tries, email, timer, assignment, worklet, control. So we'll see all these tasks when we can use it, what the importance of it. So we'll start with a very simple one, that is okay, let me end this link here. Okay, so we'll start with the email task, a simple one. So I will go to tasks, I'll say create, I'll go to email, I'll select this email task, I'll give the name for that email task. I'll say email on success, I'll say create done. So this is the task created. So what I can do is I'll just link it to my session. Okay, so if you want to send emails from your Informatica workflow, you can use this email task. Okay, like once the workflow is completed, you want to notify the users saying the workflow has completed for today's run, or if it fails, you want to notify the support team that the workflow has failed for today, so that they can come back and check the issue and all. So you can use the email task to send emails from your workflow. So this email, if I double click, how can I use it? Again, you can use this fail parent if this task fails. If you feel that you need to fail your entire workflow, if there are any issues while sending the email, if you feel sending email though it failed, that doesn't matter, your main agenda of creating the data and all is completed successfully, then you need not to enable this fail parent if this task fails. Okay, now to send email, you can go to the property section. Email username, here you can provide the mail IDs. Subject, email subject you can provide here. Email text you can provide here. Okay, you can attach the files also here. So once you okay, so attaching files and all, you can't do it directly in your email task. There is other way, I will show you that. Okay, but a normal text mail you can send it from this email task. So normally, so we configure here the email IDs, the subject and text here. So how it might look like? So there might be, assume like one more task, one more email task here. So email on failure. Okay, so I'll take this here and I'll link it to the same session. So what I want to do is I want to send a success email to the business users when this workflow is completed. When this session completes successfully, I want to send a success email to the business users. And when the session fails for any reasons, I want to send a notification mail to the support team. Then I can create 2 email tasks here. So there is no restrictions. As many tasks you want, you can create, and as many number of same tasks you want, you can create in your workflow. Depends on your requirement. So on success, I want to send this success mail. So what I'll say in this link, I'll say status is equals to succeeded. So my email task will run, my success email task will run only when my session is completed. And in my success email task, I would have configured, told that this particular workflow ran successfully for this day. I want to send a failure notification email to support team if my session has failed. Then I'll say status is equals to, is not equals to succeeded. Okay, so this failure email task one will be triggered only when the session fails, and this email success email task will be triggered only when the session succeeds. Like this, you can configure your workflow to send emails. Okay, so if you don't want to use the email tasks, still you can send the emails using the sessions only. So within sessions, if you double click on the session, go to the components tab, we have on success email and on failure email. So we can send emails from the sessions also instead of explicit also. So if you come here on success email, you can select reusable or non-reusable. Same like transformations we discussed, right? Making reusable, non-reusable. Like that, you can make the task also reusable, non-reusable. We'll be seeing that forward. So I'll just say non-reusable here. I don't want to reuse it again in other things. So when I say non-reusable or reusable, this value tab will be enabled. On success mail, you can edit it. The same email task window will come here. Username you can give, subject you can give, text you can give. But one benefit of using the email task within the session is you can attach the files also, attach session logs, folder names, integration service, full session log itself you can attach and send it to the mails. Okay, those things, attachments is enabled only in the email task which is there in the session level, but not in the explicit email task. Okay, like this on success email will be sent only when your session succeeds. On failure email will be sent when your session fails. Okay, you can configure it here only, or you can explicitly use the email task. So what is the benefit? What are the advantages and disadvantages? If you have explicitly used the email task, you can't attach any files, but it is more readable. Why it is more readable? So if a new member comes here, by seeing this he can easily say like, okay, after this session is succeeded, I'm sending some email. He can go to it and he can check it, what to whom you are sending the mail and what is the text and all. If it fails, he can check it. So on a high level, it is more readable. By seeing this, he can say like, I'm sending a success mail or failure mail based on my session status, right? But if I have included it within my session, so it is not readable on a high level, so I have to go to each session. So this is a simple mapping now, but you can a simple version directly assume like there are some 50-60 sessions in your workflow. So you want to check from which session it is sending mail. So then you have to go to each of the sessions and check in the component section whether there is a on success email or failure mail set, right? So it is not much readable, but advantage here is you can attach the files. Okay, so always depends on your requirement. There is no requirement to attach the files and all. Better to have explicitly use the email task only, since it is more readable. So if you want to attach the files, then you anyway you can't do it with the explicit email task. You can use the email property within my session. Okay, so this is the second task. We have email task, which is used to send mails. Okay, then next task is called command task. Okay, we normally use the naming convention CMD and any meaningful name. This command task is, so the command task is used to run any Unix commands in Informatica. So your Informatica will be hosted on a Unix box. Okay, so if you want to run any Unix, you can use this command task. So some examples like, you might be having n number of command tasks in your workflows, depends again. So you might have configured something like this. So initially, assume like as I have told you before, some one example like your source file was coming something like this: abc underscore yymm ddhhmms. Okay, so every day it will come with a timestamp. So you can't use this timestamp directly in your um, sessions file name property, right? So you want it to convert to the something like abc, some static name, so that you can give it in your Informatica abc. You want to convert it into, rename it to something like this .txt. Okay, so before running your workflow, you want to do this, so that you can do it in your command task. You'll go create a command task, come here. So if it's a simple command, you will go to the commands and say here command, give the name for that command, rename the file source file, and you will give the command, say like move. Um, so since you want to move, rename the file, you will use the command mv move that particular abc underscore. Okay, the file name, then the what you want to rename to. Okay, but so if you have a single command, you can run give that Unix command here. Like this, you can give as many commands you want. It will be run in the same sequence 1, 2, 3. If you want to call any script, then you can use the KSH and the script name you can provide here. The path and the script name. So normally all your scripts will be in this info shared scripts folder. Again, in the scripts folder, a folder will be created for your project. Within that folder, all your scripts, whatever you are using in your workflows, will be there. So you can call those scripts. You can give the full path to the script and the script name. And if that script is taking any parameters, you can pass the parameters also. Like this, if you want to run any Unix commands, you can use this command task. Okay, so you might be calling the script. What the script will do, it will go to the source file directory where this file is coming. This particular file is coming. So it will check for all the files with ABC underscore YY star. If it finds any file, it will take that and rename it to this and paste it in some directory. That is what the script will do. Then next workflow will run and it take the next your session will run and it take that particular renamed file. So you your when this command has complete successful, command task is succeeded, then only start the session. If the command task fails, fail the parent. I can enable this. At the end of the session, you might have called one more command task, like to archive the target files. So you might be sending the target files to some some downstream location to some other team through SFTP. So that you might be doing it in one command task, and in the another command task you might be archiving. So you might be creating a copy of that target file to some archive location so that it can be used in future if someone asks for. So again, for that you will be writing. So all the Unix stuffs you will be doing it in your command task. Okay, the same command task again, instead of using it with the explicitly command task, I can do it in my session. In each sessions, if you go to components, we have this pre-session command and post-session success command. Sorry, yeah, we have pre-session command here. If I select this, reusable or non-reusable, anything, so it will open the same command task here. So whatever commands I give here, since it's in pre-session command, these commands will run before your session starts. Okay, you can use this also instead of using the explicit command task. And post session success command, whatever commands you give here, it will start post your session completed successfully. Failure command, post your session completed failed successfully. If it has failed, then the post session failure commands will run. So if you don't want to use explicitly in a command task, you can use the command task within your session also. So again, for readability, it is more readable if you explicitly use the command task. Okay. So this is the third task we have, the command task. So these are the in your Informatica project, you will be calling the Unix scripts and all to do lot many things. So command task will be used frequently. Okay. I think we have another 5 minutes. 1 second. Okay, that is the command and email task. Okay, maybe the other tasks maybe we can discuss tomorrow and we can finish all the other tasks. So we have something called decision, event wait, event rise, timer, assignment, and workload work control. So these things we can complete it tomorrow in another 1 hour. Okay, these are all simple tasks only, nothing much to worry, nothing complex. Okay, I'll explain all of this so that as per your requirement you can use this task. Okay, I think that is sufficient for today. Tomorrow we'll connect and we'll finish off all the other tasks. Okay. Yeah. Let me know in case if you guys have any queries, or we are good to end up. Hello, guys. Any queries? Hello. Any queries, guys? Hello. Am I audible?
Oh, hey. Yes, Sandesh.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine. Okay. Okay then. If there are no queries, we can
Okay,
end for
fine.
today. We'll connect.
Uh,
We can connect tomorrow. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye. Okay. So moving next. So this was about the timer task and control task. Coming to the next task, that is event wait. Okay. So again, very important task which we normally use it. These tasks are very simple one. Okay. There is nothing much to nothing much complex and all, but you should be knowing what all the importance of each of these tasks when we are supposed to use it. Okay. So coming to event task. So if I link it, so and again these tasks can be used in between your workflow anywhere, not like at the start or the beginning only, based on your requirement. So coming to my event task. So again, each of the tasks will have this fail parent if this task fails. So if you want, you can enable that. Coming to event task. In event task, we have two things. One is predefined, another one is user defined. So predefined, if I select predefined, this will act as a file watch event. File watch event. So for example, assume like you are, this is, okay, this is my mapping, which is looking for a file. So my source is a file here. What is the file? That is customer data.csv. It's here. March 2000. Shit. It's here. Informatica server info shared source files. Okay. This is the file which my mapping session is looking for. Okay. Now, so it is looking for a file in this location. So I need to ensure before running this session, I need to ensure the source file is available. If it's there, then only I need to run my workflow. If I don't do it, see, if I don't use the event wait and if I run it directly now, so what happened? Your session failed. Why it got failed? It says the system cannot find the file specified because this was the path and I just deleted that source file. So since the file was not available, your workflow got failed here. Your session failed and subsequently your workflow also failed. So before trying to extract the data from a source file, if you want to ensure the source file is available, then you can use this event wait before the session here. So I'll go to event wait here. So first From start, I'll link to event wait from this to here. So in the event wait, I'll go to predefined. If I select predefined, it acts as a file watch event. What I'll do, I'll specify the path of that file which I need to use. Okay, I'll say apply. Okay. Then what happens? If I run my workflow, this event wait, as the name says, it will wait till that event happened. What is the event? It is a file watcher job, file watch event. So till the file is present in the path I have specified, till it is present, this event wait will be keep on running. It will be running only. So assume like your workflow is dependent on a file which is sent from some other team. So you normally you'll use this event wait to wait until that file has arrived. Once the file is arrived, then only your workflow will run. So this is what event wait will do. It will wait for the file to arrive. Now if I just place the file in that location, I'll just take it. I'll place the file. As soon as the file was placed, as soon as the file it was able to find the file, that event wait got executed. It is succeeded, then my subsequent task will run. So if you want to perform some file watcher event, that you can do it with the event wait task. Okay. So this is very commonly used one if your source is a file. So that you can do it in your predefined, and in the property section we have this delete file watch file. That means once it is processed, if you want to delete that source file, then you can enable this. But normally we don't do it because we normally archive it, the source files and all. So instead of deleting, post the workflow is run, we might run some Unix script to copy that full file from the source location to some archive location. Okay, so for predefined event, we have this delete file watch file also property. Next is we have user defined event. This is an event created on the workflow properties event tab. Okay, so in order to use this event, we have to, in order to use the user defined event, we have to use another task called as event rise. So this user defined event and another task will be used in combination. So that we'll see what it is. So this is what event wait if you want to wait for a file. Now we'll take one simple scenario. So this is my start of the workflow. Okay, this one, this start task. Okay, so 1 second. So what I want to do is, as soon as my workflow starts, I want to run two sessions, S1 and S2 in parallel. Okay, once S1 is completed, then successfully I want to run the session S3, and when S3 and S2 are completed, I want to run a session called ES4. Okay, so if this is the dependency, if this is the order, dependency order in which I want to run my workflow, so as soon as my workflow starts, S1 and S2 should run in parallel because they are not dependent. S3 should start only when S1 is completed, and S4 should start only when S1 and S3 and S2 are completed. So I can give the link the same way what I have provided here in my workflow also, but the same thing I want to just explain you with the event wait and event rise tasks. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just take those sessions. Okay, Assume like this is my S1, or I'll just rename it. It will be easy to know. Apply, okay. Okay. So just to show you the things, I'm copying the same sessions. Okay. So what I told, first my S1 and S2 should run in parallel. So I link it. Once S1 is completed, I want to run my task S2, sorry, S3. So here I'll say if S1 status is equals to succeeded, then run S3 here. Then I want to run S4 when S2 and S3 are completed. I can link from S2 and S3, I can link it to S4 and do the conditions. That will also work. But I just want to show you with another task that is called as something event rise. So this event rise, we have one more task called event rise, event wait, and this is event rise. So what I'm saying is, once the S3 is completed, I'm going to this event rise. Here, I'll say user defined event. See, when I go to user defined event, nothing is there. So I can define my own events. User defined means the one which you as a user you created. So I can create my own events where I can create in the workflow edit tab. We have a events tab. So this was the only tab we were left out with. We had seen property, scheduler, variables and all. Events tab we didn't see. So if you want to create your own user defined events, that you can declare here. Declare the events you want to use in your workflow or worklet. So I can click on this button. I can give name for my event. I will just say ABC. This is where you can create your own events, user defined events in your workflow for your workflow. So done. Now if I go to my event rise properties, it will list down all the events which I have created. As many events you want, you can create. I will select this event. Now what happens is this event rise. Okay, so okay, let it be. So I have in my event rise, I have used the event ABC which I have created. Then I will use this event task. In now I instead of predefined, I'll use user defined. This is an event created on the workflow properties events tab. That's what it says, right? It can be created from the workflow properties events tab, the one which we created. I'll go to this and I'll select that ABC here also. And I'll link from S2 to S4. So this will be my flow to achieve this. So my S4 should run only when S3 and S2 are completed. S3 and S2 are completed. So how this will work is, as soon as my workflow starts, S1 and S2 will start. They will complete. Once S1 is completed successfully, S3 will start. Once S3 is completed successfully, if you want, you can give the condition here. Event rise will happen. So what this event rise will do is, event rise will rise the event whatever you have created. It will rise the user defined event, and event wait will wait until this user defined event is raised. So until this event user defined event is raised, your event wait will keep on waiting. And when that event I'm rising that event only when S3 is completed, I am going and rising that event. So as soon as the S2 is completed, it won't go to S4, because this event wait, it will keep on waiting until that whatever your registered event ABC is raised. So when that will be raised, only when S3 is completed, at this point I can raise the events using the event rise task. So once that task rises the event, then this event wait will be completed, then S4 will run. Very simple one. Event wait, user defined event, you can register the user defined event in the event wait. So it will keep on waiting until this user defined event is raised. How can I raise that user defined event? That I can do it with the task called event rise. So with event rise, I can rise the event. Until the event is raised, event wait will keep on waiting. That's it. So if I run it, start workflow, S1 and S2 started. So event wait is waiting. See, event wait was waiting till the S3 completed and event rise happened. Only when event rise happened, event wait got completed. If you closely see the timing, though it will be in just of seconds, you can see it. So S1 and S2 started at 4:12:15 and they ended at 12:22 and 12:17. Event wait started at 12 minutes 18 seconds. Okay, so but it completed at 20 seconds. So it waited for 2 seconds. Why? Because event rise, it started at 20 12:20 and it ended at 12:20. So event wait waited for 2 seconds because it waited for that event rise to happen. Event rise happened at 20th second. So as soon as that event was raised, my event wait got completed. Okay, that is what event wait can be used in two ways. One as a file watcher job, and one more as a user defined event. Until that user defined event is raised, this event wait task will keep on waiting. And how can I raise that event uh, user defined event? Using the event rise task. Okay, so this is about event wait and event rise task. I think last one is left out is, so we completed session, command, decision, event wait, event rise, email is done, timer is done. Yeah, assignment and worklet is pending. So we'll see assignment task. Assignment task is very simple. So if you want to assign some values to the variables, if you go to assign expressions, you can go to the create as many variables you want to assign values. So here, 1 second. So this is my workflow variables. I have these many workflow variables created. I can assign some initial values to these workflow variables if you want, using the assignment task. As the name says, assign some values to the variables. So if you see, if I go here, it will list down all the workflows whichever I have. So I can take source file name. I can give some value here. Like if this is my source file, that's it. So I'm assigning a value to the variables. It's again kind of a hard coding. So instead of sending from a parameter file, if you want to assign some values within your workflow, you can use the assignment task. You can assign some value, static value to this, and this value you can will be stored in this variable, and this variable you can use it in your workflow or in the map. Okay, that is your assignment task. As many assignments you want, you can do it. You can, in each of them, you can select your respective workflow variable and assign the values. That is your assignment task. Okay, so last task is your worklet. So this is your worklet. Okay, so naming convention is WL underscore, you can say anything for what purpose you are creating. Done. So this is how your worklet looks. Okay. So what is worklet is again. So if we try to understand the architecture of workflow, so if I go to the Power Center Designer, this part, okay. If I consider the Power Center Designer, so what all we do in the designer, we create a mapping, right? We create mappings. So in the Power Center Designer, what we have done, we have created mappings. So within the mapping, what all we can have? We can have a source, right? We can have target, and we can have different transformations. As many transformations we want, we can have. And we can also have this maplet, right? We can have maplet. And again, within the maplet, what we'll have? Maplet input, then the maplet output, and again within that we can have as many transformations. So in the Power Center Designer, the parent is your mapping. Then we can't run this code directly, so we go to Workflow Designer. So in the workflow, we can have? We can have the workflow, that will be your parent component. Within the workflow, I can't use this mapping directly, so I go for sessions, right? So each session will be associated with the mapping, the one we have used here. Like this, I can have as many sessions I want. Each session will have one mapping associated with that. Other apart from mapping, we can have tasks, other tasks also, as many we want. The one we see. So now command task, email task, event wait, timer task, control task, assignment task, and all those things. So as many tasks we want, we can have. Apart from that, we can have something called as worklet also. Even this is a task. Within the worklet, again we can have sessions. It is kind of a child of a workflow, child workflow. So, and we can have as many tasks we want here. Within the worklet also, we can have tasks. And again, this session will be considered to a mapping. This is what worklet. So if you have a module, okay, so if you want to have a separate module that you can create it within the worklet, which is quite complex, and you want to create 2-3 sessions and mappings for that, that you can include in your worklet. That is your worklet actually. So so coming to the worklet part, see, if I consider this, uh, assume like this was the map, uh, this was my workflow which we had developed, okay, or let it be like this only. I'm just trying to link everything. Okay. Okay, so assume this was your workflow. And even this part, the one, the checking for the batch whether completed or not. Okay, even this will be a part of your workflow. So before starting your workflow, you want to ensure the data is available, the batch is completed. So normally what we do, so before, as soon as you start the workflow, you link it here, something like this. Okay, and if the batch is completed successfully, then you will link it directly to your workflows, to the other tab. So assume like you have some 10 workflows in your project, and for each workflow again you need to check for whether the batch is completed or not. Maybe for each workflow you might need to check different batches, so that batch name you can pass it as a parameter file value, but this logic remains common. So instead of hard coding this logic in every workflow, what I can do is I can add this logic in a worklet. So what I can do, I will just copy this. So two ways of creating the worklet. You can go and create your worklet here in the worklet designer. Okay, you go to worklets, say create. I say batch check. Done. So the worklet is created. If you see, that worklet will be listed here in the folder worklets folder. So again, we have a start here. It's same like a workflow only, child workflow we can say. I'll just copy all the components here. I'll arrange it so that it is easy for me to understand. Yeah, it was something like this. Okay. Okay, this was the flow. Now, so if this is kind of a common logic, so instead of hard coding it in every workflow, I can just use this in a worklet. And now in my workflow, I won't use this all these components again. I'll delete them. I'll just use this worklet here. So from the start of the worklet, first I will check whether the batches are completed or not. If it is completed, then I will move to my actual logic. And this worklet, since it is kind of a reusable component, I can use it in as many workflows I want. So like your maplet, as I told, maplet is a reusable component. Logic, I can't achieve it in the session. I need this many other tasks. But then that common thing I will add it in a worklet, and then I will use it in my workflow manager. So worklet is also a reusable component we have in our workflow manager. Okay. In this worklet, it is again a group of tasks only. This is one way why we use worklet. If it is a reusable if there is something reusable, the repeated requirement that we will implement in a worklet and use it in all our workflows. One way. So one reason why we use worklet. Second reason is to reduce the complexity of the workflow. So in real-time projects and all, there might be like this, some more than 50, 100 sessions in a single workflow. So if you open the workflow, it might look you very awkward or very complex since there are so many sessions. So what normally they do is, so assume like if these 6 tasks are used for one particular module, what they will do is these tasks they will add it in a worklet. They'll create a separate worklet here again. Okay, so it is not a reuse thing, but still they will create one worklet and take this data here. Okay, and then here instead of those many tasks, they will replace it with a single worklet. So it will be more readable and it will reduce the complexity of the workflow. Okay, so instead of having so many tasks within a workflow, so for each module they will create a worklet and they will use as many worklet as possible in their workflows so that it will be more readable. Okay, and now if I want to see the code, what is there in that worklet, I can right click and say open worklet. So if you see in your real-time projects in the workflows, they will be using some 10 15 worklets one after the other, and in each worklet they might have some 10 20 30 sessions, other tasks and all. So instead of adding everything in a one workflow, they will be grouping it, so it will be more readable and it will is a standard way of coding and all in Informatica. These are the two ways for using worklet. One use for a reusable component if there is a common logic which needs to be implemented with multiple tasks, then we do it in our workflow. And also to reduce the complexity of the workflow and to make it more readable, we create worklets and add the code here. Okay, that is the worklet. And last thing is, same like we made a reusable transformations and all in workflow, for tasks also we can make it reusable task. Assume like there is a email task which I want to make it reusable. So what I can do, either I can go to the task developer and I can create the task. Whatever task you create here in the task developer, they will come in this task folder and all those tasks will be considered as a reusable task. If I go to task create, point to note is only 3 tasks can be made as reusable. We had so many tasks, right? But when I go to task developer, I see only 3 tasks: session, command, and email. These are the only 3 tasks which we can make it as reusable. Okay, again, interview questions and all. Event wait, event rise, timer, those things we can't make it as reusable. Only session, command, and email task I can make it as reusable. I can say command archive files. Done. So this is something a reusable task. I might have written here a code to copy the file from my source location to archive location. That is something common, right? So this task I can use it anywhere in as many workflows I want, or worklet also. If you want, you can use it. So whatever task you create in the task developer will be considered as a reusable task, and only email, command task, and sessions you can make it reusable. Then within the workflow, if you want to make any task as reusable, you can go to the session. You can click on this, make reusable. Same thing what we did it in mapping. So if you say make reusable, converting the current task into a reusable task is not reusable. Then this particular, if I say yes, it will be converted as a reusable. So this green symbol you can see, right? If you see this, it is a reusable session. Even worklets you can make it as reusable. Okay, if you go and create worklets in the worklet designer, they will be considered as a reusable only. If you consider create worklets within the workflow also you can create the worklets like you create the sessions and all, then they will be non-reusable. Okay, if from workflow level, if you want to convert any task to reusable, you can double click and make it, click on that make reusable. But Directly, if you want to create a reusable task, you can directly create worklet as reusable from the worklet designer, or any session as or comment task or email task as reusable from the task developer. And this is a reusable session now. So if you see, if a transformation was a reusable, we cannot edit it in a mapping level. But here you can edit it in the session. Reusable session can be edited. I'm commit level was 10,000. I will make it as 1,000. As soon as I change something, since it is a reusable session, this revert option will come. At any point of time, I can revert it to its original value since it is a reusable session. So, okay. So this reusable sessions here, you can it is listed here. So I can go here in the task developer, use it and change whatever I want. Whatever I change it, as many workflows are using this reusable session, it will be reflected everywhere. If you want to make changes only to your workflow, then in that session you can use this reusable session. If you want to make changes and worklet, when I show you one real time project flow at the end of our session, you will see all those things again in more detail. Okay, but this is what a general thing about worklets and sessions, everything, all other tasks. Okay, I think that is good for today. Tomorrow class or day after tomorrow will take and we'll complete the performance tuning. Very important. I will request everyone to join in the group also. When we have maximum crowd, we will have it complete that one session for performance tuning. Okay, that is important. So that's it for today. If you guys have any questions, you might ask me. Thing is, it will disconnect in another 30 seconds. Let me know if you have any questions. We will connect again. Okay, just otherwise we'll connect tomorrow or day after again. And Bhushan, please share the recordings. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.